Now, here we go.
My name's Tony Owen. I'm the general manager of Friedman's Key and Landmark. I just wanted to take a minute to talk about Larry Feldman, Career Changers USA. Larry and I have been working together for about the last 12 years now. And anything I've ever needed as far as recruiting, training, Larry's been right there. Larry's got me salespeople, he's got me managers, he's got me technicians even through the toughest times in the industry. And he is just the kind of guy who's going to tell you exactly what's on his mind. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. But Larry also has the expertise to back it up. When he was in the dealership world, he was a top performer. And that's really important to my staff, especially as it pertains to training. A lot of people can come in and teach out of a textbook, but Larry has real world experience dealing with customers, dealing with situations in dealerships we go through on a daily basis and try to train on. But Larry's been through it, so he can really empathize with the people and tell you what's worked for him and maybe what way not to go. Larry is just always at a 10. I mean, his energy level is always up there. And I think people, they just love that and they feed off of it. He's not faking it. He is genuinely excited to come in and help you. He's excited to come in and help grow your business. And he's one of those people who just really enjoys seeing dealers succeed and have a lot of fun at the same time.
Life is about connection, having a support system to lean on, and roads to endless possibility. At every turn, guiding the way, we are building the connections that move you.
So what would your dealership feel like if your entire sales staff was literally on fire, your sales and service staff? They were nonstop all over social media, completely dominating your marketplace. They could do it in 30 days or less and then continue their education to do it for an entire 6 months or a year. You literally would completely take over the entire marketplace and no one would be able to compete with you. And that's what we can do for you. So when you're walking around your community, whether you're at local restaurants or you're going to the gym, you don't want to be bothered? Fine, you won't be bothered. But a lot of people will walk up to you and say, oh my God, I love your social media. Your staff is amazing. We love what you're doing in the community. We want to come buy a car from you. We want to get an oil change at your dealership. Your community is absolutely going to love you. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on. You could be on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all social media platforms. You will literally be all over the place. And not only will you have ads running, but your own staff is going to be promoting your brand and promoting themselves within the dealership and within the business. So it's like running an ad times 100-fold because your entire staff is participating in the process. I've traveled all over North America. I've trained Toyota. I've trained Nissan. I've been to driving sales. I've been to Women in Auto. I get hired as a speaker for conferences at universities all over the country. And I can help change the trajectory of your dealership right now.
All right, good morning. So, Jeff.
Good morning, everybody.
Looks like everyone's in. I picked a few books. I wasn't sure what to do on the book front just because there's so many. The Future is Trust, The Book of Trust, Digital Body Language. So those are 3 books. So go ahead, Jeff, with the disclaimer.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'll go over the disclaimer in a moment. One thing I wanted to comment on is in our sponsor reels, we have the CDK thing there, which first of all looks like a Super Bowl commercial. I like every time I see it, the mother handing the kid, taking the kid to the dealer, you get a little part clamped here and you want to, take away the vapors in your eyes. But it's very interesting because the show today is about trust. And, it's not that often anymore, maybe down where a lot of you are, it is, but that people can afford to take their kid to a new car dealership and get them a new car. And give them the keys for a brand new car. And where it's actually a nice, smiley, happy thing. Which is hence why we're talking about, how do we win back customer trust as part 1 of our part 2 show. But that's very interesting, and I'm just had to comment on that because that really hit me in the right between the proverbial eyes. So, of course, the disclaimer is the views and opinions expressed today are those of our guests and attendees, and not necessarily that of the AutoHub show or in Nethercott or Jeff Polo.
And just in case you missed the books, these are the books for today. Future is Trust, The Book of Trust, and Digital Body Language. So let's get into it. We're talking about how to regain trust. So let's go ahead with that.
Terrific. First of all, folks, I do have I'm not at home, so I don't have my usual internet. I'm a little unstable, which is great because I am totally unstable. But I wanted to welcome our guests and go before I welcome the guests, I wanted to thank Peter for being here regularly. John, you're looking cool. You were grooving to the music there. And Doug, Larry, of course, our sponsor. Russell, how are you, buddy? Long time no see.
Good morning. It's fabulous day.
That's great. So our first guest here, we'll go by order of login, is Matthew Growden, coming to us from the definitely sprawling metropolis of the Greater Toronto Area. Now, formerly of the mothership, and now he's the purveyor of all really smart things automotive. Matt, say hi and introduce yourself. And answer the first question, which is, where does the retail business stand with customer trust today, in your opinion?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Formerly from the mothership, Mothership. The Googleplex. Now trying to figure out what I'm going to be when I grow up. But along the way, I'm running a newsletter at Growdy.wtf. But I got that plug in there real early. It's really fun. Where is trust? The research I've seen as of late says there's still a major, I use the phrase cognitive dissonance between what our dealer community believes and what consumers think. So as far as the consumer is concerned, there's still a general sense that they are going to get screwed. It seems like about 80% expect to be lied to in some way during the transaction. And on the other side, the dealers feel that they've made great strides in transparency and in their efforts to be good business people. So it is this kind of, the consumers in one place, the dealers in another. We haven't bridged that yet.
It's hot.
It's hot.
Sorry, I'm having trouble here. I'm very interested. It's hot. Hi, my name's Paris Hilton. Hi, I'm going to just do some DJ work. Next, we have joining us. There he is. our good friend, Mr. Bill Camastro, coming to us from the Gold Coast of Gold Coast Cadillac. Bill, say hi and thanks for joining us, and give us, introduce yourself. A nice suit, by the way, and give us your opinion. Where does the retail business stand on customer trust today?
First off, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. My name is Bill Camastro. I am the dealer principal at Gold Coast Cadillac. I'm proud to say that my team was named Cadillac Dealer of the Year this past year again. I have a wonderful group of people. I'm going to tell you the non-sexy stuff as far as I'm concerned regarding customer trust. So, this is my opinion. It works for us. It may not work for everybody, but I think there's a lot of things we can't control, right? We all deal with the fact that interest rates are higher than they have been. We all deal with the fact that production costs, supply chains, chips, everything that made the cars more expensive, the union contracts, the lease environment that the OEMs have cast upon us, right? So all of those things, whether we like it or not, if we just followed in suit with the manufacturer and everything the manufacturer decided that needs to happen and what the pricing needs to be, we're automatically going to be a little bit at odds with customers, regardless. We're all concerned about our market share. I don't think market share is going to decrease, increase. It's going to ebb and flow because customers are going to realize that, okay, well, I bought a car from you 4 years ago, 3 years ago. You give me a lease payment that's $200 higher than the last time. What happened? You don't love me anymore. I bought my last 10 cars here. We've all heard that, right? But two things are going to happen. One, I think at times of great stress on relationships, transparency, even if it's ugly, is most important. Let me tell you exactly what's where we are right now. Don't try to dress it up. Don't try to polish a sneaker or make a pig dance. Just tell them the truth. But more importantly, at times like this, just like anything else, if your girlfriend said, "I'm breaking up with you," you call her 50 times to try to resolve, right? That's where we need to be with customers. We need to be front and center. We need to be, forget AI, forget digital, forget everything else for the moment. Use all those things to elevate yourself to live communication with the customers and make sure that you have employees that know exactly what the mindset and what the word tracks need to be. We'll press upon the customers that we're dealing with an environment. We understand how you feel. We feel the same way. So the best that we can deliver under the current circumstances is X. Some of those people are going to shop elsewhere and find out that your transparency is accurate. That's the best thing you can do. What you don't want to do is become the stereotypical car people that hem and haw and if I could would use. This is a time to get far away from that as you can, because that will impress the customer more than anything else. It's definitely an interesting time, but I think in the end, what we'll probably get back to, we'll probably see is more dealers than not will get back to dealers will get back to the basic of elevating customers to live communication by using the digital tools we have to get there.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And Bill, is it true that your guys' trophy room is bigger than Tom Hanks for Oscars?
Well, I will say this: we have. And I'm not going to take any credit for it. Listen, I can say what I want. They have the truth, whether they want to do it or not, right? So you can only threaten to light their house on fire so many times. But we have. I'll just make it simple. We hire people for character. We do not hire them for experience. They gain experience if they have good character and they learn valuable lessons. We hire people that have, can tell us about the laundry list of things they've done someplace else. They're here for a reason. Whatever happened there didn't work out, and they're here for somebody was unhappy. So my perspective is we always go for people with top flight character, well groomed, well spoken. We'll wear a suit. We don't do the guy. Not saying it's bad for anybody else, just for us. Everybody wears a suit, and everybody speaks the Queen's English. I'm sure you folks in Canada love that.
Oh yes, we love to talk the Queen's English.
We really, we try to master the basics and build on that with the sophisticated stuff. But mastering the basics to us is first and foremost. So yeah, our trophy is bigger than even I could imagine at times. I had to start taking some of them home.
Gentlemen, can I just jump on that one for a second? The congratulations, Bill. It's a well-deserved award for being the best Cadillac dealership, and I'm sure your team has worked very, very hard. One of the things that you've said, and I've mandated my entire career on, is transparency. If you are transparent up front before any interaction with any customer, you will gain their trust immediately because you are a differentiator, not the norm. If people actually took it to heart that car dealerships are never in control, they're the only thing that they can say is no to the sale, but they're never in control. You have to relinquish the control back to the customer and give them absolute transparency. This is how we're going to do things. This is how we're going to present things. This is how we're going to show the route or journey to the sale, and giving them that trust that you are going to be their trusted advisor, not a peddler, not a salesman, not a brand ambassador, but a trusted advisor. You will gain opportunity like you've never seen before. I worked for a JLR dealership that was 10% higher than any other dealership in the country in GP on every single vehicle. And the way we did it was we were open right off the bat and said, listen, we have to make money. Otherwise, we can't pay. We can't provide the services. We can't do this. We can't do that. So we look at a fair and reasonable amount of money so that we can look after you in the manner you expect. In doing so,
go ahead, Bill. You had a question, Bill? You had a thought, Bill?
I just want to jump on one of the things you said and then turn it back over. You know, the art of persuasion is not founded on bullshit. Excuse the expression. Okay.
Exactly.
Columbus found out the world was round. He had to talk a blue streak before they left the shoreline, but he was right in the end. He was transparent. He did his homework. He realized where he was going and why. There's a lot of people that didn't believe him, and I'm sure until they actually got to where he took them, they thought it was all bullshit. The world is not founded on bullshit. The art of persuasion comes in a lot of different forms, and I think the average person believes that you can't be persuasive if you tell the truth because the truth is absolute. The only thing that truth does not factor in is the person telling it, and that's really where we stand out. I mean, I think where we stand out. So to my good friend at Lion Partnership, I love what he's saying.
Yeah, well, exactly. And it's with that, we turn around. Not only did we out profit every single dealership in the country, but we also were the #1 dealership in the country for volume. Now, that had nothing to do with our demographics or geographical area. It had to do 100% with service.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Our moniker was the business that service built. End of story. We're there to service the client, and there's many more things I can say, but I'm a guest today, so I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean, I had the pleasure of working for one of the largest Honda stores in the country, and what differentiated that experience from my earlier job working in retail was basically I was empowered to give the customer the truth and the information. And I was selling based on experience and payments, not based on price at all. And I was in an auto mall environment, so we were surrounded by 14 other dealers who were also fighting for those customers. And what shocked me the most going through that experience was that some of our competitive dealers weren't even playing the game properly because they had so many customers walking in at the time, right? So it was definitely very interesting. But I always was of the belief of explaining it to the customer and how it works was the right way to do things. And I always did very well doing that. Now, sometimes you have difficult customers, that's fine. But at the end of the day, it was, this is what can work. I understand that you want to pay a little less or whatever that number is. But at the end of the day, the customers appreciated me really sharing with them the details of how to buy a vehicle. I mean, my niece is looking for a minivan because she had her first child. She's probably going to have a second. And the local Toyota dealer where I live basically said, well, you know, you can't get it for a year. And by the way, you're going to have to pay more to wait a year. And I said, well, let me get you to another Toyota dealer who will get you the car faster, but more importantly, will treat you properly. And it was just kind of interesting because the same dealer group has 2 locations, and the fleet manager at one location would charge less and get the car just as quickly, but the other location was treating them differently. And it's the same owner. So it was kind of interesting that consistency is also important. But anyway, Jeff, there's someone else you had to ask a question to? I know you're back.
I am back now. My apologies, guys. My internet just disappeared, so I've now reconnected by my hotspot in my phone. So that's okay. What the heck? Let's use up 7,000 gigabytes of data. So no, we were going to have Don Friedman on, but then Don got back yesterday and said, "Oops, discovered it was his grandkids' spring break, so he had to go away, but he will join us at another time." So Ian, let's go for the next question.
Well, Doug Reeves had a comment there you might want to share. It's in the chat.
Well, there you go. Hey, Doug, what's let's talk. Let's just a second here. So Doug's comment is: say what you're going to do it, and ask if you did what you promised. That's transparency. It's very interesting, and Doug, I'll get you to expand on that. But what's very interesting is this: you know, we can debate the cost, the topic of price. We can debate the discussion on value, and you know, I firmly believe this Toyota dealer that Ian's talking about is going to suffer very quickly because their mothership's going to start building vehicles like a baby, you know, buys candy, or the family buy a baby candy at a candy store, and they're going to be just like they did with everybody's done right now with cars that came in, have been on order for 2 years, and people are no longer paying MSRP or over MSRP because they got 6 of them. But do your job right. But Doug, expand on what your comment was.
Well, yeah, like Peter, I'm just a guest, so I don't want to take it away from your esteemed.
You're never just a guest.
What's that?
You're never just anything.
Well, I just think that, and Bill, it's nice to meet you face to face as opposed to with LinkedIn messaging back and forth. But I think the fact is look, we have dealers that are just telling the truth all the time, that don't go through the bullshit, the maze of bullshit to eventually arrive at where they're going to arrive. That just say from the beginning, this is what we're going to do, this is how we do it, and then live up to it. Those are the dealers that win. I mean, playing games anymore just erodes trust. But if you're a person in a store that's built on integrity, that you literally, this is how we do business, and let me show you it, and everything you do supports that statement, and that's how you build trust, and that's how it spreads around, and that's how we slowly turn the industry. So, Bill, I'd love to, I think that's kind of what you were saying, but I'm curious if you have anything you want to add on that.
Well, I think you said it very, very well, but I would also add to that, you made mention about how you follow through and so on. Just a little tidbit I'll throw out there, everybody. And you're going to think I'm nuts when I say this, but Jeff and Ian know this. So everywhere you look in my world, including me on radio and TV in the New York area, we get a thank you letter. My cell phone is posted everywhere. Every customer that comes in the store gets a VIP card with specials for being a loyal customer, but it's got my cell phone number on it. Now, you would think that this cell phone rings 20 times an hour, but it doesn't, because it has a very self-policing mechanism about it. All of my employees know I will never give you a hard time if by virtue of the fact that you gave a customer my cell phone number, they call me with a problem. And I don't, because it makes them feel good about doing it. The problem gets resolved. We don't get bad social media. They get a good survey, which they get paid for. On top of everything else, I retain a customer. More importantly, the salesperson, the service advisor, whomever, when they see that and they realize that I will do that, they innately do a better job with the customer up front. So, and the example I would draw on is if you were going to go to, they used to have Circuit City, right? You used to buy your radio stuff there. Circuit City versus Best Buy, and you're standing between the two at a strip mall, and you say to yourself, okay, I know the owner at Best Buy. If I have a problem, I could always call him on his cell. But at Circuit City, I don't know anybody, and they have the same flat screen TV for the exact same money. Where would you walk in? So we leverage that at a high level amongst a lot of other things. But I think also, and it's not about me. The speed of the team is the speed of the leader, and I believe that. And everybody can be a leader at whatever level they're at. But I believe if you're gonna turn your people into leaders, then you have to lead from the front, not from the yacht. You know, and I while I'd like to be on my brother's yacht or my own, and whether I can afford one or not the question, golf course, whatever you will, you know, I choose to be involved in what goes on because I think I can set the tone better than anybody I might be able to hire. And I think I can have a better impact on my people. So I'm very involved and hear a lot. And I'm sorry to kind of put too much on it, but what you said is to me so important. And I think that what lacks in our industry, even still to this day, is the percentage of people that really do this because they're passionate about it versus they couldn't figure out what to do with their lives or they felt like what they were doing.
100%. 100%. I mean, I was at a local Cadillac store. I shared some images with Bill, and I'll take some more. And they used to have the Cadillac franchise inside their Chevrolet store, which is a significant store in town. But they built almost like a Taj Mahal to Cadillac. But what was interesting about the experience at the store was their mix of sort of the classic Cadillac heritage and the current models. And they really built a store that's all about experience. Now, obviously around that store, there's a lot of high-end retail, be it Ferrari or Porsche or Lamborghini. But what I really liked about the store and what they did was they had 2 floors. And on the second floor, they had some cars that obviously aren't for sale, but they're sort of that classic Cadillac heritage. And they've even taken it to a different level where they've got artwork on the wall. They have an area where you can buy different, I don't know, I guess gear that's got Cadillac logos on it. But even the level of service was really impressive, was the fact that you didn't feel like you were being sold a Cadillac. You felt like you were being, you were having a Cadillac experience in a store. And I'm not sure what their performance is, but I was very impressed with just sort of that hands-off approach, more like let's help the customer versus let's sell them a Cadillac. So I thought that was really interesting. But I think Peter had something to say, so I just wanted to drop that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I just wanted to jump on what Bill was saying about the cell phone. I started in the business in 1982, and I remember going on one of my first dealer trades as a salesperson and picking up a car at a Jeep dealership. And at the reception, there was only one card at the reception. There wasn't the card tree of every single person that worked there. It was only the owner's card. And the owner's card had his home phone number on it. Back then, there was no cell phones. It was the owner's home phone number. And on his card said, if you have a concern, you can reach me 24 hours a day. End of story. And you would think at that time in the 80s, Jeeps weren't reliable, that he'd have his phone going off the hook. No one's going to push that number until there is a severe problem. And that's where trust becomes paramount, that they're there to look after it. From that point on, I had my home number and my cell phone number on it on my card forever. And it was, you can reach me 24 hours a day to get that trust, because you're investing not only your livelihood, but your safety as well in me. So in doing so, again, becoming the trusted advisor over the brand ambassador, salesperson, peddler, whatever you want to call it, you're showing that trust and the building of that trust. And that is so important, especially when you are representing any vehicle that of any significance. And when I say significance, is premium luxury and up. So it's essential. So I commend you, Bill. That is a phenomenal thing to do.
And next question. Thanks for that, Peter. Regardless, there's lots of comments on lost trust. Why do you think that there are those comments? I mean, obviously, dealers, right or wrong, I mean, people in the car business in general really want to do the right thing. Why do you think there's so, there's a lot of negative comments? I mean, what do you think? Let's start with Matt.
Why do I think there are?
Yeah.
I think there's a legacy, right? There's just this is an established, trope, I think, in the consumer's mind. One of the tricky things with vehicle sales is that on an average basis, the average consumer is only doing it once every 5 years, right? They're only doing it once every 5 years. And we kind of lose sight of that when we are in it every day and talking about it every day. And so if you kind of think about the way, we used to talk about this a lot at Google, the other experiences, the other transactions, and all of the other touch points they've had in those 5 years since. By the time they get around to buying a car again, they've kind of forgotten how it works. And so the legacy still sits in their mind. The legacy, or maybe they remember their last transaction, but it's actually, and it goes back to this phraseology I use, the cognitive dissonance of it. It's very different than the way they purchase and experience retail everywhere else, and they're not ready for it. So I agree with what Bill said, and the more you can explain this up front and kind of walk someone through that transaction and explain here are the steps, like this is what's going to happen, I think you could win them over. But I'm not convinced that is what's happening in Wild. Like, I don't think that is the common experience across dealerships. I think there's still a lot of there's a lot of probably suboptimal sales happening out there, and so the experience.
Matt, sorry. I know that there's a certain legacy to this, but 5 years ago, any of us we talked together, the industry had made a ton of inroads. We were providing a much better thing. I hate to say it, Toyota had a reputation as being the brand to go to, because you would get straight dealings. Very few dealers were doing any car business games. They were discounting, but not much. Maybe on some of those oddball Benzes at the end of the production run, that sort of stuff. But they were regarded as really highly ethical. And now I'd be very hard pressed to mention Toyota dealers up there as ethical, because I'm hearing nothing but stories of this.
Yeah.
So there's really something there. Crystal, we see your raised hand. We'll get to you in 2 seconds after that.
Yeah, I think the data that I've used recently, or the stuff that I presented recently, kind of, in previous Google research, we kind of saw that at the end of 2019, half of people walked out of dealerships frustrated. Like and that was pre-COVID. And now we've had a lot of, I don't know, it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's bad actors or bad acting, but it's been a very different reality, and that, a lot of things people expected in that experience have not been the same during COVID at various times, very different. And so, and now, I use this example where I've gone to just Google search and I searched this phrase. I searched the phrase frustrated at dealership and look at the news tab. And then I identify all of the news articles that have come up with just that phraseology, in whatever province, state, city, country, and it's still very extensive. So you see every month there's something ends up in the news, something ends up somewhere where someone's had a horrible experience. And so I think there is just this general sense the consumer doesn't know how this experience works, and even if there's been improvement, it still hasn't, say, registered in the collective zeitgeist of the average consumer. There's still this general sense of, I'm going to get screwed. I don't know how I'm going to get screwed, but I feel like I'm probably still going to get screwed. And I think there's a lot of things are going to need to happen for that to be changed. Like, a lot of things are going to have to happen for that to be changed. And I know we're not talking about solutions this week, and that's the next week.
That's next week. Solutions. Crystal, unless you disappeared.
No, she's there.
No, so I deal with a lot of younger clientele that obviously don't have any past experience, and I also train sales staff, and I think that it is twofold. Yes, we're not we don't have sales staff or finance staff explaining the process to the customers. So they might be sitting somewhere for 2 hours when they think it might be 5 minutes, and they don't have a salesperson come back and explain what's going on at any point. They just mess off, and that is really frustrating for somebody. But they are also taking advantage of the fact that we might only be making $500 or $200, or we might be taking a loss. But if the perception is that we made a huge amount, that's what is the lasting impression. And then you have the guys that are making way more. And then there's no follow-up in the long run. And when something goes wrong, these guys aren't there to help. After somebody might have spent $60,000 or $100,000, and something goes wrong 2 days or a week down the road, they're not helping out these people. It's like, oh yeah, too bad, sorry. I only sell the car, and that's really frustrating, especially if you're somebody who just bought their first car or don't know where to go. I hear about it all the time. I spent $100,000 and nobody helped me.
Yeah.
Oh, so you only bought an Escape.
You didn't buy the escape plan.
Hey guys and lady, I'm hearing transparency. What I'm not hearing is empathy, concern for the customer, and being likable. I just taught a bunch of classes, and I always like to ask at the end, when do you think you start to close the deal? It's not at the end when you screwed it up. It's the beginning when you say welcome to. If we're not likable, if we don't show some concern, if we can't empathize, hey, I know these interest rates are crazy. I'm going to get you the best deal. Let's work together. And it's not just the deal. It's what happens after the deal. How accessible are you? How willing are you to get in? Crystal, I'm a former dealer. I have a training and recruiting company. I sell 5 cars a month, and I sold my store 12 years ago because there's people that will not buy a car unless I'm involved. And you don't know me yet, but I'm a little crazy. But I'm reliable. And if you look me in the eye and I tell you something, I'm damn well going to do it. But we're not teaching people to think long term and to realize that these customers aren't annoyances, they're annuities. And how much money we in the dealership can make. It's the same concept, Crystal, of not emphasizing keeping people in service and retention. And then not only does the dealership lose all the business, we lose the chance to sell. But if you
Larry,
can't
that also
emphasize
goes to what, sorry, that goes to what Bill said, which is character. We can train them, we cannot train character. And part of character is empathy and understanding. And, that's something that we can remind, but we can't put it into them.
Jeff, a guy just called me and said, Feldman, I need people, but I want experienced people. I said, why? Why would you want a guy or lady that's been doing it 10 years? A, if they're any good, why would they even think of leaving and blowing up some of their following? Or you're going to get somebody that's cranky that it's only going to tell you how bad the dealership is and why the manager sucks and the rest of it. It's all about their character. It's all about how much they want to work, how much they want to succeed. And succeed doesn't mean that I killed you. I never hope I see you again. But that I can't wait to sell everybody you ever met your life a car. I'm going to be your personal concierge.
Can I jump in there for a second, guys?
Of course you can.
Whenever I have a Larry Feldman sighting, I feel compelled to speak. So,
Bill, hurry up though. The Undertaker wants that suit back for the next corpse by the end of the day.
I pay a late fee after 5 o'clock. So here, just on this very topic, and I listened, and the young lady who spoke, I think Crystal was her name. I can't remember, but the same things we're talking about now. I mean, I'm not the old soothsayer, but I don't know everything. But I've been in the business for 41 years. The same problems we're talking about now were the same problems that I heard about 41 years ago.
Yep.
And the same problems I heard when we had the crash in 2008, 2009, the same problems we had during COVID, all the same. I'm not saying it's the same circumstances that got us to that point, but I'm saying it's the same complaints, the same concerns. The grosses are too high, the transparency is too low, whatever the circumstances are. the one thing that remains the same in this industry and will always remain the same is you can buy a car anywhere. You can get your head taken off anywhere. You can get a car given away anywhere. The young lady said it best, no matter what we sell a car for, the customer thinks we made a lot of money, no matter what we sell it for. So my philosophy is if they think we're going to make a lot of money no matter what, we might as well make a lot of money. That's my philosophy. Now, employees will know that. We have our dealer group. I have a partner who has many, many stores. I think he's 81 franchises now. Okay. I'm his partner here. I'm the operator. Our gross per copy is $600 a car higher than the next closest in our 81 franchise dealer group. Okay. Last month we were just under $5,000 a copy. And I'm sure everybody on this call right now is saying, well, how do you get to be dealer of the year? And how do you win all these satisfaction awards if you're at $5,000 a copy? Well, going back to what the young lady said, our follow-up here, we believe in being top of mind always. Because you bought a car a year ago, 2 years, 3 years ago, our people are contacting you. They're sending you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. They'll call you and ask, how's the car going? How's the thing? We take pictures of every customer when they take delivery of the car. We put it on Facebook, Instagram, and I always go on every night. And I count, what is it, 8-10 deliveries in a day? So I go on and I say, thank you for joining the Gold Coast family. I name them my name, and I thank the salesperson for his great professionalism. Every single customer. We do, and I'm not saying, I'm just giving suggestions to solve some of these issues. We keep going back to what was said earlier about not getting disassociated with the customer over a 3-year or 5-year period. We do events inside the store, okay? We want our customers to come to the store, so we want them to feel comfortable at the store. So we invite our customers to every event. We put out a big spread of Italian food, for example. Last month I had Joe Piscopo here.
That was awesome, by the way, Bill. That was awesome, man.
But we did nothing but handheld donation. We didn't do any PayPal or any Zelle or anything like that. So that if you wanted to donate, you had to show up. And people dropped 10s, 50s. We donated $12,000 in 4 hours. But the most important thing was all of those customers were standing in the showroom. We had classic cars in the showroom. We had a VIP here, and Joe got up and sang New York, New York, and whatever. But it was a really, those feel-good things you can do for your customers. Anything you can do, those stupid videos I do on LinkedIn for my car, I know they're goofy, but what it tells each person is I'm just as average as you are. I'm the same guy. I put my pants on one leg at a time. I'm in my car at 5:30 in the morning. I put a roof over my kid's head just like you do yours. And that sense of being able to relate to the customer to me and me to the customer gives them that sense of they feel connected by 1 degree of separation, not 6 degrees of separation. And it does make a difference when they walk in the showroom. It makes a big, big difference. It's an investment of your time. It's an investment of your money, but it pays off. It pays off in spades. So going back to what we said earlier, that the best, in my opinion, other than all of the things we do from a process standpoint, whatever you can do to bring the customers and keep them in the fold, keep them top of mind, stay in contact, not just about car deals, about being part of the family. That changes the dynamic when it comes to customer retention. They'll always give you a second shot. They'll call you about a bad experience versus just defecting to somebody else. They'll give you an opportunity. We tell people flat out, we're not perfect. We're in search of being perfect. And your feedback is valuable for us to get there. So it always gives us another opportunity to converse live with a customer on how we do get there. So it's not, and I want to just say this, it's not easy. It is not a perfect science because you're dealing with people, but because we're dealing with people, we want to deal with people. We want to make sure we get in front of those as much as we can and impress them with even the most ground floor employee's character. And we're very, very, very passionate about that.
Hey, Bill, the funny thing is, though, if you don't empathize, your job's actually harder because if people don't feel any personal connection with you, then why the heck would they come back to you?
They're the loyalty.
Yeah, it's where your head is. Bill, you'll love this. I haven't been in as long as you, but I have been in a long time. The first week I'm on the job, the GM is leaving the store, and the operator says, "You have a call, boss," and he says, "Tell him I left." And I thought, what an imbecile. If the person wants to buy 2 cars, they'll buy them from somebody else. If they have a small problem, you solve it, you're a hero. If it festers overnight, they want to shoot you. Again, it's your attitude. You're going to go to work for 8 hours, 2 hours, 10 hours. Why wouldn't you want to make money? Why wouldn't you have fun? And that still comes down to connecting with your customers. And the fact that they look at us, so I got a video, Bill, that's out. Now, you might have saw it, that I like the fact that there's a negative perception, because there's nothing stronger than when a negative is overcome by a positive. When they turn to you and go, "Boy, you're really nice for a car salesperson." And that's not hard. What's hard is letting people buy into this craziness and perpetuate and continue it by being just as ignorant and short-sighted as their perception of us is.
Oh, 100%.
Good afternoon. Can I jump in here?
Of course you can. Go ahead.
Of course you can.
Well, hello, everyone. A lot of friendly faces here. Great to see you guys. Besides naming our company Trusted Sale, we know a thing or two about trust. I want to make just one observation and then maybe leave one behind for you guys. Is it? We're not giving solutions here, right? That's the next.
That's
the next
week's show, part 2.
Okay.
Oh, what that?
So I'll wait on that one, and I'll just give this one then. What I have found, not being in the business now, Bill, I've been in business for 42 years, like you, but I've only been in the car business for 7 years. So, and I'm surprised you look as good as you do for being in the business 41 years. Because when I look at you and Larry, I don't know, just you guys.
Here's a good way to build trust. Kiss the guy's butt. Perfect.
You know, I'm just saying. No, but what I've learned though is this, and again, when you guys know a little bit about us and our company, what we do, the dealerships that value trust the most need it the least, and the ones that need it the most value it the least. I was very surprised to find
Yes.
100%.
That's all.
It's very interesting. There's all these great terms, and it's like Bill said, there's nothing wrong with making money. And we can debate whether it's this or that or whatever. But when somebody says to you, "Hey, look, if you want it, you got to pay it. That's it." Or if, "Sir, let me explain to you the situation," or "Ma'am, forgive me, why things are the way they are, and that's because of et cetera, et cetera." But more importantly, let's find you the right car and work on it from there. There's only so much I can do, but I promise you I'll do my best. Larry said the same thing.
Well, hey, wait, and why don't you take it out to the next step? You're right. These interest rates are crazy, but you work so hard. Don't you think you deserve something nice?
Jake, we can find all these steps that work good, but we keep working on that. And so, we're going to next week, so to work on the solutions, but do we deserve this? How did we get here? And I'll go back to Matt, because one thing I love about Matt is, Bill's in the dealership level. Larry's always in dealerships. I got a dealership background. Ian, we never know about. But Matt's got this 20,000 foot level oversight. He's not 40,000 feet. He's 20,000. So tell me, how did we get to this stage? And we can go back to way back from the horse trading days and everything else, but there were good guys that sold horses and bad guys. But, how do we get here, and do we deserve to be here?
Yeah, I think the problem is that at different times, even in the last, so blah, 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 the world went digital. Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Or
blah, blah.
actually in the digital term, I think it's blah, 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 blah.
It's LOL. But so, and I think that changed the game a little. And I'm just blowing Bill's ass all day. That's what I'm doing today. But and I hear this from very good owner operators that they use those tools, and they will do something like reply to everyone who bought a car, or they'll reply to every review. And so I think part of the challenge is now this isn't a block and tackle on the dealership floor anymore. This is also a block and tackle on every digital platform, and that's a lot to wrap your arms around. And if you're not doing it there, then it's easy to see your kind of business go sideways without you even knowing it. And the reality is this, if on one side, and I hate this example because there are better, but it's just I saw it posted again recently on LinkedIn. It's I can order a pizza from Domino's for less than $20, know the name of the guy who is making the pizza, the name of the guy delivering the pizza, and have down to the minute updates on when that pizza is delivered. And so, fuck you, Domino's, but you created an experience that is unlike any other. Well, you created this experience, and now, whether it's the Domino's example, whether it's e-com examples, whether it's Uber, whether it's whatever. Even I ordered dog bones the other day from a pet food store because my dog has very specific needs out in St. Catharines, and they sent me a text message, your delivery is here. So it's really just this. I think again, cognitive dissonance between the way we experience everything else and the way we experience automotive. And in many ways, we haven't caught up. And the reason we haven't caught up is because we haven't needed to. That it's still a place where the transaction I don't have anywhere else to go to buy a new car. I don't have anywhere else to go. And so as a result, the mechanisms that are common everywhere else have not been deployed in automotive, and that's a whole other show. That's a whole other, OEM to dealer on their own, who is responsible for what conversation that would take another 5 hours that we could talk about for the rest of the year and unpack. But I really do think it's the world went digital, experiences changed, we got comfortable with those experiences, and automotive has not fully come. And in the places where it has, we don't like to talk about, right? We don't like to talk about what Tesla is doing. We don't like to talk about what Genesis in Canada is doing, because Genesis in Canada has kind of got this right. So there's still just work to do. And it is also, and somebody pointed this out, I think it is the silos within the dealership that don't do us any favors, right? The silo between sales and service, the silo between sales and the F&I team. And it's like every part of that experience is jarring for the consumer when they've not experienced it again for the last 5 years or ever, if it's their first time buying a vehicle. So,
And Growden, it's also the lack and the difficulty to communicate.
correct.
What Bill does, I've always done. I've had Ian and Jeff and other people promote me by saying the guy answers his phone. You shouldn't get a trophy for that. But
Jesus.
try calling a couple dealerships. Leave a message. I want to buy 10 cars. I hit the lottery. I have a problem. It's impossible to get anybody on the phone. And over the last few years, and a lot of the people that are younger than us understand the concept that I'm afraid of my phone. How the hell could you, if you're a salesperson, how would you ever want to rather text somebody than talk to them? Because if I tell you a joke, Brody, you might say, man, Feldman's a riot. It's funny. On the other hand, if I text to you, you might think I'm a misogynist or racist. Again, the simple fact of what we do is communicate. And when we make it impossible to communicate, what do we expect to have back?
No, Larry, I agree. I'm the first one I've had in so many of my presentations in the last 5 years that just a slide that simply says, answer the goddamn phone. Just answer the goddamn phone. But the number of times.
Brody, I noticed you like to curse a lot. If you ever need a job as a used car manager in New Jersey, come down so I can lead you.
Knows a guy.
The texting is one of the things that I find is, for the younger salespeople, the thing that loses them the most business, because they constantly text their customers. And for customers that are older than them, they don't realize that things come off different over text than they might mean it. And it is killing their business, and they don't quite understand it.
Well, it's very funny you say that, because, the good laugh that I've always had, I've mentioned it many a time on the show, is that viewpoint. I won't go generational. That viewpoint of texting. Texting is a fantastic tool. It's also a great way to break up with with a person you're going out with. It's a great way to ask somebody out, because if you say, "Hey, would you like to go to a movie tonight?" and they say, "No, thanks." So, okay, goodbye. You can also say, as in Matthew Growden says, "Oh yeah, F you too, your mama," which is a New Jersey thing. But again, the thing is even younger people, Bill, please, pipe in here in a second anyway, because we'll get you to answer the question. They, the phone rings, they will still answer it. I still see, you still see 16-year-olds talking on the phone. So it's not like they don't talk on the phone.
Well, I think,
But,
Jeff,
okay.
so very quick. So we struggle, let's go back to, I think where we get lost in our business is we forget human nature. I'm not really good at anything other than picking out a suit and nature. And here's what I know. A young person, if they have an interest in a romantic interest, will pick up that phone on the first ring, will dial incessantly, okay? And why is that? Because they're driven by their obsession to succeed in that communication, right? So where does the problem lies in relation to the car business? They may not necessarily be driven by the obsession to communicate with the customer. So how do we get them to that point? And I think, and I've heard this from one of my peers who's well known. I'm not going to give him airtime now, but we have to do a better job of impressing our people. What's in it for them? At the end of the rainbow, if you do it this way, here's how it turns out, and be able to give them examples of it. And again, I also suggest how many of us and how many of our leadership actually take the time. If you never see the magic act performed, you don't believe in magic. So you have to be able to at least illustrate for them, here's how it works. And I will tell you, I'm not talking any different than I do when I'm dealing with my people on a daily basis. I don't know everything, and I'm not great at everything. But what I do know is we've gotten to this gutter in our industry where we try to look for the next newfangled tool that'll do the work for us. We look for the digital software that'll take away my responsibility and get the work done for me. As long as I press that button and log on to this, I'm going to sell more cars. No, those tools are there to elevate the customer's communication to the point where you can take over. And like Larry said, what's the body language look like? How does it sound coming out of your mouth? So can they see you as their next door neighbor? Can they see you as a person they would sit down and have dinner with? Those things are so valuable and I know they sound very Pollyanna, but they're true. They are true. They still work today. And again, in our industry, it all goes back to how we all got here, including myself. Okay, we all got here because we didn't become a doctor, we didn't become a lawyer, we didn't become a hockey player, we didn't become a pro baseball player, and without a resume and without a college degree, we got through the door here, and we realized there's a lot of money to be made, and we were taught by people that said, "If I could, would you?" And through the trade keys on the roof, and those are the people we were taught by. So we have to continuously reinvent ourselves to reinvent ourselves, not reinvent the business to reinvent ourselves. And I think that's what we focus on here. It works for us. It may not work for everybody, but I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is customers want a level of trust. Trust is forged between human beings. Trust is not. I'll give you my last point. I'm sorry for drying up all the airtime. The DRPs, right? The digital retail platforms and the digital retailing tools. So, whether it's Techion or General Motors or whomever, Lithia Drive, whoever is creating these programs. Look, during COVID, it had a purpose because everybody was home and you had to keep your doors shut and you could only talk to the customer from out in the parking lot, whatever. Okay, real world, those DRPs are going to become like a newspaper. They're going to go to your DRP. They're going to print out your best offers. Then they're going to go to another DRP, print out those best offers, and they're going to take the human beings out of the equation until they're ready to say, okay, I'd like to buy this car at this payment, blah, blah, blah. Then a human being is going to take over. So what we're doing is when a customer goes into the DRP and we see the activity, we reach out to the customer. We email them, text them, and call them. We call them first. while we're talking to them on the phone, we text them at the same time to establish a constant form of communication. And then we send them an email so they have a permanent record of the conversation. We also innately try to put them in a position where they think all car dealerships work this way. So they called me, they texted, they emailed. I don't want to do this with 25 other car dealerships because this is going to become a real laborious effort. So there's a lot of things built into it, but it all resides around, kind of framing that live communication that everybody is looking for a solution to. I want to have a solution to get me to the live communication, not to get me away from the live communication. Because once you do that, it truly is a race to the bottom. And the only way you'll sell cars is your published numbers will be less than everybody else's, and you'll still have pissed off customers. It won't matter because they're human beings. So I'm sorry for pontificating, but that's my.
So Bill, if I can show you a way where we can show the people that watch our show how to fix things, you'd be interested in knowing about that, wouldn't you?
Of course I will.
Of course you would. Tune in next week to part 2 of how to really customer trust. Folks, we've run out of time. Thank you everybody for joining. Crystal, good to see you. John from Ultra BDC, great to have you. Everybody else, it's a fun show. Final call next. Paul, thanks for tuning in. Russell, good to see you. I'll turn it over to Ian.
Thanks very much. Tune in next week for the show. And special thanks to all our sponsors. If you are interested in VidCalls version 2 will be out later this month. Stay tuned for more details. Have a great week.
And Jeff calls just tune in on Mondays.
Have a great week.
All the best, everybody.
Right.
Take care.
All right.
Everyone.
Put your glasses on. Lower left end corner.